Hey students, it's time to revise word class. So what we're going to do is go through all the 8 word classes. You need to be using word class terminology whenever you possibly can for both AS and A2 English. So rather than saying the word cup, we'd say the noun cup. So putting in word class terminology before every example is a really, really good way to get extra marks. No matter what paper that you're doing, it's always a good thing to do. So we're going to go through these 8 word classes, make sure we know what they are, and most importantly, we know what the job is that they do. It's not about really knowing words in that sense of knowing exactly what every word class is. It's about, do I know what job that word class does? If you do, you can work it out. So the easiest one then, we come to word classes, is of course things, which would be nouns. Okay, we've got things. So you can have like abstract things and concrete things. So a concrete thing would be like an actual thing, like a pen or a cup. So they're real things, they're objects, they exist in time and space, and generally if you can put a or some in front of it, it tends to be a noun. So a pen, some coffee, a cup, things like that. So they're things, okay? The next one is things that modify nouns, so those are adjectives. So there's your describing words, so they describe or they modify, is a nice word to use, modify nouns. Okay, so if I take my coffee, what type of coffee is it? Well, it's hot coffee. Yeah, so that's modifying the thing. It's modifying that coffee, the thing. It's a hot coffee, okay? The cup is white, we do it post-modification, so the cup is white, so it's modifying that, but after it, yeah, so it's describing the noun. Okay, the other thing we can think about is where those things are. So in terms of position, so there's a little bit more to prepositions really, but just for the time being, let's just say it's to do with position. So the coffee is on the table, yeah, it's on the table, or it's next to the pen, yeah, so on and under, and on top of and beside, words that show position like that are prepositions, okay? Obviously very important is the doing words, okay? So doing words, it's a nice primary school way of talking about it, doing words, they're actions, but of course, just because something is an action doesn't mean that it's an action in time and space. So you could have like a physical action like I dropped my pen. I dropped my pen, that's an action that occurred in time and space. Okay, or you could have an internal action like a stative verb. So, I feel sad because I dropped my pen. So I feel sad, or inside I feel sad. It is the idea of the state that I'm in. Or I believe I've dropped my pen, something like that. So it's still an action. And it's of course a thing does it, yeah? So a noun or a pronoun, which we'll get to in a minute, is doing something, okay? So a doing word is an action, is a verb, okay? Now, if we've got adjectives modifying nouns, we want something that can modify verbs, and that's your adverbs. So they modify, or they describe in that way. They describe verbs, but of course, given that you're A-level students, you should also realise that it's not just that. They're not just words that end in ly. They also modify adjectives as well. So the only real difficult one to remember in terms of doing a couple of jobs is adverbs. So they can modify actions, like in terms of how or when or in what manner you did something. So I dropped my pen quickly, yeah, or I dropped my pen today, yeah, so when I did it. That would be modifying, add information about that action of dropping the pen to drop the pen. But also they can add information to adjectives as well. So if it's hot coffee, hot coffee, we could say it's really hot coffee, it's really hot coffee, or very hot coffee, or quite hot coffee. So we're modifying that word there, which is an adjective, so that would also be an adverb as well, okay? Just to make sure you can all see that, okay, grand, okay. This one's quite nice, the pronoun. There's lots of things you can do with this by thinking about how, different types of person pronouns, first, second, third. But really, for the time being, all we would need to know is that pronouns, they stand in for things. So they stand in for, generally, nouns. Okay? So if I say, this is my pen, okay, this is my pen, here is pen, okay, it is red. It is red. If I say it, that word it is standing in for the word pen. So it's standing in for the object. It. Yeah? It is red. It is red. Okay? So we can stand in for something, or I am holding it. I, yeah, that's standing in for the proper noun, Phil, that's my name, yeah. I am holding it, which is standing in for the pen. So they stand in for things. Not to be confused with these ones, which look similar, yeah, and they sort of go before. It's the simplest way I can think of explaining it, really. They just go before nouns, but they're not adjectives. So they determine whose something is or how many there are, something like that. So this is my pen. Okay, this is my pen. So it's going before the noun, helping determine whose it is. It's my pen. But if I was to say the pen is mine, yeah, the pen is mine, that would be a pronoun. It's mine, because that is standing in for my name. Yeah, okay, it's my pen, it is mine. Whose? Phil's, standing in for my proper noun. Okay, it is red. Okay, it, standing in for the pen, is red. Yeah, okay, it is my red pen. Okay, so there's all the way the word classes come together so that you can describe the world around you. There's only 8 of them. We've done 7 of them already. Okay, and that only leaves conjunctions, which are connectives. Just ways of connecting words and phrases together. Okay, so fish and chips, it's connecting 2 nouns together, or it connects 2 phrases together, or 2 clauses together. So I went into town and I had a nice time. So we have that clause, I went into town and I had a nice time. 2 clauses together. Okay, so you might have noticed a quick change of scenery there. I've actually been ejected from my own teaching room because of timetabling changes with the exam, but let's carry on. So we've got all our 8 word classes. We've got connectives that connect this and that. Pronouns, they stand in for nouns. Adverbs, they modify verbs and adjectives. Determiners go before nouns. Prepositions show positions. Things, either concrete or abstract. Adjectives, they describe those things. And verbs are the things that things do, so they are doing words. Okay, all those 8 word classes. There's other things like interjections, but essentially this is, all languages, really. Okay, so if we just flip that over, you will see a little quotation here from Lewis Carroll. It was Brillig and the Slithy Toads did Gaia and Gimble in the Wabe. And the nice thing about word class terminology is, of course, even if you don't know what the word means, you can work out what job it does and therefore work out what word class it is and say something about it. So you might be looking at this and going, well, how can you possibly know the word class for words that don't exist? These are all neologisms, they're all made up words. They're all nonsense words. However, if you learn what those word classes do, what the job is of those word classes, it's really easy to work out any word when you're looking at its position in a sentence. Grammar in general is all about the system of English, how the bits fit together. So we're looking at these bits here, even though they're nonsense, and working out what the job is in the sentence. So let's have a look then. I'll start with this one over here. 'Twas Brillig and the Slithy Toads did Gaia and Gimble in the Wabe. Well, we've already learned that determiners go before what? Determiners go before nouns. So this is the pen, it's my pen, it's a pen, okay? This is the something, it's determining something, so that's got to be a noun. Okay, if we've got a definite article determiner, we've got the in front of it, it's got to be a noun. The pen, yeah, the Wabe. Okay, however, if we look at this one, the Slithy Toads, well, Phil, you said if it goes before something, if it goes before something, it's got to be a noun. But slithy doesn't sound like a noun. So let's have a look at this one. Let's say we do this. The Slithy Toads. The slithy toads. Okay? Here are some pens. So we think about what word class tends to have an S at the end to be made into a plural, and it's nouns, isn't it? Pens, cups. We tend to put a noun. So that would suggest that that is a noun. So we've got the determiner acting on that one, determining who's, which one they are, these ones, yeah, the toads. So if we've got that word here, slithy, and it ends in Y, yeah, so really we would suggest that that one is modifying that one. So what we'd have is a noun, which is plural, some toads, and what are they like? Well, they're slithy, so that would have to be modifying that word, so that would make that an adjective. It's harder than it seems actually to write like this while standing up. Adjective and noun. So determiner, adjective, noun, slithy toads. Similarly here, it was brilliant, it was awesome, it was amazing. We can replace this word with anything else, and all of those other words would tend to be adjectives. Okay. It was brilliant. What was it like? It was great. It was lovely. It was nice. They're all describing words. They're all adjectives. Okay. Now here, did Gaia and Gimble. Well, just think about what types of words tend to go after those. So they did this, they did that. What did they do? Yeah, they did Gaia, they did Gimble. You notice that they all end in E. Okay? So in the present tense, verbs tend to end quite often in E in English, and then you'd put an ED at the end, a D at the end to show past tense. So they did gyre and gimble. Yeah, what did they do yesterday? They gyred and gimbled. If you can modify them in that way, if you can inflect them in that way, then you can work out what those word classes would be. You couldn't do it here. If, say, that was a verb, yeah? The slithy. What did they do yesterday? They slithied. Doesn't quite work. They toasted. Yeah, but they did gyre, they did gimble. Anything that comes after a did like that, helping verb over here, tends to be a verb. Okay. So here we have complete nonsense statement from Lewis Carroll. It's part of the Jabberwocky poem if you want to read it. And we can work out the word class from the job they do in the sentence. Okay, let's move on. So here's a little bit more of a complicated sentence. Let's try and make this look better. It's quite hard to get the angles right. There we go. Right, so yesterday I ate some chips and curry sauce. I'm just going to switch over to a smaller pen here, because it's a bit smaller writing. So yesterday I ate some chips and curry sauce. It was quite tasty but gave me heartburn. I could eat chips constantly because they are the most delicious food. So if we know the job of the word classes, we can do some basic stuff, which is work out the word class. So any type of word you want to pick out and you want to say anything about it, whatever exam it is, if you give me the word class, you're going to get some extra marks. It's going to seem a little bit more close in the analysis, and it also gets you into some good analysis of things like phrase types and the syntax of sentences, how they're put together. But the skill is, can you tell me the word class of any word in a sentence? And you should be able to. So we already know I, and it, because that was in the start of the video. I, it. They stand in for things, don't they? I, that stands in for me. I, that stands in for me. So they've got to be pronouns. It, I ate some chips and curry sauce. It was quite tasty. What was? It is the chips and curry sauce. So that's a pronoun, that's a pronoun, and that's a pronoun. If you're technically looking at the differences, first person and then third person. Okay? Different pronouns. Then we want to have a look at, well, what are the objects? So chips. Curry sauce is a weird one because it's sort of like some curry sauce. That's like two words doing the job of one. Gave me something, gave me heartburn. Food is a thing, yeah. Chips, a thing, okay. Oh, I missed out another pronoun as well, haven't I? They, standing in for the chips. Okay. Yesterday I ate some chips and curry sauce. It was quite tasty but gave me heartburn. I could eat chips constantly because they are the most delicious food. So food, curry sauce, chips, and heartburn are all things, so they are nouns. Where am I gone? Here. Nouns. Okay, so we've got noun. They're things. Okay, let's have a look at some of the actions that those things do then. Yesterday, what did you do? Well, I ate some curry sauce. I ate some chips and curry sauce. Okay, it was quite tasty. I could eat chips constantly. Again, it's an action. Yeah, change in tense there, past tense and then present tense. I could eat. Okay, they are the most delicious food. And there's these weird ones, so that's the one where you just have to sort of learn them really. Was and are part of the verb to be. Okay, so they're verbs as well. So I ate. Oh, and gave as well. What did you do? I gave it to you. Okay, you can have a look at your conjunctions. You've got but. Okay, and because, so they're connecting things. We've got conjunction. It's getting a bit messy now. Conjunction, conjunction. Okay, and then let's have a look at things like another conjunction over there. You've got a conjunction. When did you do it? When did you do it? Well, I did it yesterday. What did you do yesterday? I ate. Okay, so we're giving some information about what you did, which is an action, when it occurred. And remember, the definition of an adverb is that it gives information about how or when or in what manner you did something. So yesterday we've got a time adverb there, time adverbial at the start. Nice one here. How did you eat chips? I ate them. I'd like to eat them constantly. So that one is an adverb and obviously ends in ly, which is usually a bit of a giveaway. Constantly. Okay. This one is an interesting one. So quite and most. We said that quite and most are sort of modifying these verbs here, these adjectives here, aren't they? So tasty and delicious are definitely adjectives. Yeah, tasty and delicious. Yeah, chips and curry sauce is tasty, it's delicious, they're describing it. But we also said at the start of the video that adverbs modify not just verbs, like ate, but they also modify adjectives. How tasty was it? It was quite tasty. How delicious was it? It was the most delicious. So they are adverbs. Okay, me, another pronoun standing for me. Okay, constantly is your adverb, yeah, and then some chips, how many chips? It's before a noun, so that's a determiner. Okay, we're pretty much getting there, aren't we? And then we've got this strange one over here, which is the could. So it's the only one really where you need a little bit more than your 8 word classes. I could eat chips. That's technically a modal verb, so it's a type of verb, a modal auxiliary. Could, should, would, things like that. Okay, and then of course another determiner over there. So it's a bit messy, but the idea is you get a couple of sentences and you work out the job, and that gets you into the habit of being able to work out the word classes. Okay, well that's how to use basic 8 word classes. I hope that's sort of interesting to you, and you can get on with revising your 8 word classes and get into the habit of whenever you're giving a single word example that you give me the word class before you do so. Just make sure that you're getting a little bit more marks for terminology.